Sara-Nicole Morales. November 20th, 2021. Orange City, Florida. Around 5:10 in the afternoon, Sara-Nicole Morales, 35, library assistant at the Volusia County Public Library, is driving her blue Kia home from work along North Volusia Avenue. She is 4 to 5 months pregnant. She has an 11-year-old daughter at home, and for reasons that were never fully explained, she decides to intentionally hit a motorcycle. The motorcyclist, Andrew Durr, 40, was simply behind her at a red light when she first tried to cut him off. He drove past her window and waved his hand, an expression of mild annoyance, not aggression. That was apparently enough. Sarah accelerated, swerved into his lane twice, and struck his saddlebags. Minor damage, no ejection. Durr and 2 witnesses at the scene called 911 with her plate number and verbally told her to stop. She ignored them and fled. They followed her. While doing so, they stayed on the phone with 911, identifying her route. Sarah also called 911, claiming she was being threatened by men following her. She reached her mother's house on Wisconsin Avenue. She went inside. She came back out holding her fiancé's handgun. The group was standing in the roadway, still on the phone with police. She pointed the weapon at them. "You're 3 men," she shouted. "You followed me. Leave me alone." Durr, who held a valid Florida concealed carry permit, drew his own handgun and fired multiple rounds. Sarah collapsed in the front yard. Orange City Fire Rescue transported her to Halifax Health Medical Center, where she died of her wounds. 8 gunshots are audible on the 911 recording in the final seconds.
What's that?
Body cam footage shows Durr face down on the gravel, arms out, as officers approach with weapons drawn. "Please don't shoot me," he says. "That girl tried to kill me. She pointed a gun at me." The state's attorney's office completed their review in March 2022 and confirmed no charges would be filed. Self-defense under Florida law. Independent witnesses, including Sarah's own mother, Doreen Flaherty, who watched from the house, supported Durr's account. The Economist ran a piece using the case to discuss how road rage shootings in the U.S. had doubled since 2016. Sara-Nicole Morales was described by her colleagues as kind, hardworking, always ready to help. 2 library branches closed for several days to mourn her. She left behind an 11-year-old daughter, a fiancé, and an unborn child. She started a road rage incident over a red light, went home to get a gun, walked back outside, and pointed it at a man who had a permit and was faster. Florida man. Darla Jackson. May 28, 2015. Interstate 5, northbound, near East Street in Chula Vista, San Diego, California. Memorial Day. A day when most people are at a barbecue. Darla Renee Jackson, 25, has other plans. She's on the highway, and she is furious at a motorcycle. The motorcyclist is Chief Petty Officer Zacharias Buab, 39, U.S. Navy. Whatever slight Darla perceived, a lane change, a look, we'll never know exactly, she decided it was worth turning Interstate 5 into a demolition derby. She chased him. She matched every evasive move he made. She ignored the danger, the horns, the speed. And then, after running him ragged across several lanes of a busy California freeway, she deliberately rammed the rear of his motorcycle. She pushed it and him approximately 300 feet down the highway. Buab fell off the bike. And Darla, having successfully knocked a Navy officer off his motorcycle at high speed on a freeway, ran him over. He was taken to hospital with fatal crushing injuries and died there. And then, because this story needed one more beat, Darla's vehicle lost control in the chaos immediately following, and she was involved in her own fatal high-speed collision. Highway cameras and eyewitnesses captured the sequence. She was charged with murder and vehicular manslaughter. Zacharias Boob served his country for years and was riding his motorcycle on a public highway on a holiday. He didn't make it home. Darla Jackson chased him down, rammed him, and drove over him, and then stood in a courtroom 2 years later crying about it. Sarah Burke. July 2013. A road near Newcastle, England. The details of what started the argument between Sarah Burke, 26, and another driver are lost to the kind of minor traffic dispute that happens thousands of times a day and almost never matters. Someone cut someone off. Someone honked. The usual theater of people who are late and annoyed and in a car. The kind of thing that sensible people let dissolve within a minute because it's meaningless and they have somewhere to be. Sarah did not do that. Sarah got out of her car. In the middle of a busy road, with traffic moving in both directions, Sarah stepped out of her vehicle and stood in the lane, arms out, standing in live traffic. Because the other driver needed to hear what she had to say, and she was going to say it right here, right now, in the road, in front of moving cars and horns and the entire kinetic energy of a British road in July. The driver she was confronting, wanting nothing more to do with any of this, began to move away. Sarah was in the way. The driver tried to avoid her, but in the chaos of the moment, struck her. The impact threw her. She suffered severe head and body trauma and died in hospital. The driver was subsequently convicted of causing death by dangerous driving and was jailed. The BBC ran the story as a cautionary tale about road rage escalation. Gena Foster. November 8, 1999. Southbound Interstate 65, approaching Alabaster, Alabama, just south of Birmingham. Rush hour. Gena Foster, 34, is in her ex-husband's black Pontiac Grand Prix, racing to pick up her youngest daughter, Francie, a 4-year-old with cerebral palsy, from an after-school program before it closes. Behind her, in an immaculate black Toyota 4Runner, is Shirley Henson, 40, a legal secretary heading home to her husband and dogs in a quiet cul-de-sac. Two completely ordinary women with completely ordinary evenings ahead of them. And then one of them cuts the other off. For the next 5 miles, they turn the interstate into something between a demolition derby and a grudge match. Tailgating, brake checking, lane changes, headlight flashing. The whole vocabulary of people who have decided that another driver is their enemy tonight. At the exit ramp off I-65, both vehicles pull off. They come to a stop at the traffic light on the darkened ramp. Gena yanks open the door of the Pontiac, leaves it open, and walks back toward Henson's SUV, arms out, yelling something witnesses couldn't quite hear. Henson lowered her window about halfway. She reached into the console between the seats where she kept a .38 caliber revolver. Gena came up to the window. Witnesses say she was furious, her eyes wide. According to Henson's testimony, Gena spat in her face through the window. Henson fired once. The single round struck Gena Foster in the left cheek. She crumpled to the pavement. Blood spread across the asphalt. She died instantly. She never made it to pick up Francie. Henson spent the night in Shelby County Jail, charged with murder. At trial in 2000, she was convicted of manslaughter, a reduced charge, and sentenced to 13 years. She served about 4 years and was released in 2005. The sentencing judge told the court he believed people carrying pistols in their cars need to be responsible for them. The DA pointed out that if Henson was truly afraid, the last thing she would have done was roll down her window. Gena Foster left behind 3 children, Brittany, Christopher, and little Francie with cerebral palsy, who did not get picked up that evening. Her family described her as someone who always wanted to straighten things out, to stop the confrontation, to have the last word face to face. 5 miles of brake checking on I-65, a left turn onto an exit ramp, and a window that came down. That's all it took. The Interstate Yeller. This one doesn't have a name. That is partly because no name has been publicly confirmed, and partly because the dashcam footage of what happened doesn't really need one. The footage does all the work. What we know. A man, somewhere on a U.S. interstate, at some point in recent years, decided that whatever was happening in the lane around him required him to get out of his vehicle, on a live, high-speed interstate, and yell. He stopped his car in a moving lane, not a shoulder, not a breakdown area, a lane where vehicles were traveling at highway speed. He got out. He stood in the road. He yelled at drivers. Other cars honked. Other drivers swerved. He did not move. Because he had something to say, and it was going to be said here, in this lane, on this highway, regardless of what was coming toward him at 70 miles an hour. A third vehicle, unable to stop or swerve in time, struck him at full speed. He was launched airborne. The impact caused massive head trauma, a broken neck, multiple fractures, and internal bleeding. He died at the scene. Bystanders who attempted CPR could not revive him. The driver of the striking vehicle faced no charges. Investigators determined the collision was unavoidable. A vehicle appearing without warning in a live interstate lane at highway speed is not something you can predict or stop in time. Dashcam compilations of road rage incidents have a whole subgenre of people who exit their vehicles on busy roads to confront other drivers, and the tone is usually darkly comedic. Look at this person, making their stand on the white line, pointing fingers, winning the argument with no one. This case is not that. This case is the version where the lane doesn't slow down, and the argument ends before it can begin, and the only record of it is a dash cam that kept rolling. Destini Decoff. April 4th, 2024. Route 85, Hopkinton, Massachusetts, around 6:30 in the evening, near the parking lot of Cornell's Irish Pub on Hayden Row Street. Destini Decoff, 26, from Milford, is in a vehicle with several other people when the car gets into a road rage incident with a Honda Civic driven by Ryan Sweat, 36, of Milford. The exact trigger isn't fully documented publicly. What is documented is what happened next. The two vehicles stopped. Destini and 4 men from her car got out. According to Sweat's account to police, the group surrounded his Honda and he felt threatened. Police recovered a knife at the scene. Sweat initially pulled away, and then he made 2 U-turns. Witnesses told police they watched him maneuver the Honda deliberately at high speed and aimed the car directly at Destini, who was standing at the edge of the road. The front of the Civic struck her. A prosecutor later described how the vehicle veered to the right, striking Destini Decoff with the middle front end, propelling her into the air and down the road approximately 50 to 75 feet. A witness said her clothes flew off from the impact. She was rushed to UMass Memorial Medical Center in Worcester. She had complications in surgery. Her injuries were, in her mother's words, head to toe. She died on April 7th. She left behind a young son, born in 2017. Ryan Sweat was initially charged with assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, operating to endanger, and a marked lanes violation. In late April, the Middlesex District Attorney upgraded the charge to murder. Sweat's arraignment in Framingham District Court produced a brawl in the courthouse hallway between the two families, separated by court officers. Destini's aunt came out of the scuffle with a cut on her neck. Destini will get her justice somehow, some way, she said. Online, Destini's mother Tracy Decoff wrote publicly, "Today, my biggest fear as a mother became my reality. My firstborn child and best friend is no longer with me." Here is the complication this case presents honestly. Both sides contributed to the escalation. Destini's group got out of the car and approached Sweat's vehicle. A knife was found. Sweat told police he was trying to flee and was panicked, and then he made 2 deliberate U-turns and drove into a 26-year-old woman standing on the road at speed. Prosecutors didn't call it panic, they called it murder. The jury will have to sort out where road rage ends and intent begins.